In the darkness of the night, the wind howled through the trees as a lone car sped down a desolate highway. Mark had chosen to take a shortcut through the woods to reach his destination faster, ignoring the warnings of the locals about the eerie stories surrounding this route. As he drove deeper into the forest, the road became narrower and more twisted. The headlights flickered, casting eerie shadows that seemed to dance among the trees. Mark's heart raced, a feeling of unease settling in the pit of his stomach. He glanced at his GPS, but it displayed nothing but static. Suddenly, Mark saw a figure standing by the side of the road. A woman in a tattered white dress, her face obscured by long, dark hair. He swerved to avoid hitting her, heart pounding in his chest. But when he looked in the rearview mirror, she was nowhere to be seen. Shaken, Mark continued driving, hoping to put the strange encounter behind him. But as he drove on, the road seemed to stretch endlessly, and the surroundings grew increasingly unfamiliar. The forest seemed to close in around him, the trees towering like menacing sentinels. His radio crackled to life, emitting a distorted voice that sent shivers down his spine. "Turn back," it whispered, the words echoing in his mind. Mark's grip on the steering wheel tightened as he tried to ignore the fear creeping over him. Up ahead, he saw a dim light flickering through the trees. Hoping to find help, he approached cautiously. The light revealed an old, abandoned gas station. Its windows were shattered, and the sign creaked ominously in the wind. Mark parked the car, feeling a mixture of relief and apprehension. Inside the station, he found old newspapers, their headlines recounting a tragic accident that had occurred on this very road years ago. The details sent a chill down his spine. A car had crashed into a tree, killing a young woman wearing a white dress. As he read, the lights flickered, and the temperature dropped. Mark's breath formed misty clouds in the air as he realized he was not alone. The woman from before stood in the corner, her hair covering her face. She reached out towards him, her fingers brushing against his skin like ice. Panicking, Mark ran back to his car and sped away from the gas station. The road twisted and turned, and the forest seemed to close in around him once more. The woman appeared in the back seat, her hollow eyes fixed on him. Mark screamed, his heart pounding as he struggled to maintain control of the car. In a final desperate attempt, Mark slammed on the brakes, sending the car skidding to a halt. The woman disappeared, and the forest fell silent. Trembling, Mark stumbled out of the car and looked around. He was back on the main road, the moonlight casting an eerie glow on the asphalt. Exhausted and shaken, Mark continued his journey, vowing to never take that shortcut again. The memory of the woman in white haunted him, a reminder that some roads are best left untraveled. And even now, whenever he hears a whisper on the wind or catches a glimpse of movement in the darkness, he can't help but wonder if she's still out there, waiting for her next unsuspecting victim. In a desolate town surrounded by dense woods, a mysterious road known as the Way emerged only during the darkest hours of the night. Legends whispered that those who drove down this road never returned. A brave group of friends decided to uncover the truth. One moonless night, Emma, Alex, Sarah, and Mark set out in a beaten-up van, their nervous laughter filling the air. As the clock struck midnight, the Way materialized before them, shrouded in an eerie mist. Intrigued yet apprehensive, they hesitantly ventured onto the road. The air turned cold, and the atmosphere grew stifling. The van's headlights barely penetrated the fog, revealing glimpses of gnarled trees that seemed to lean menacingly towards the road. The engine hummed unevenly, and the radio emitted static-filled whispers that sent shivers down their spines. With every mile they covered, the surroundings seemed to twist and contort, becoming increasingly unnatural. Shadows danced on the periphery of their vision, morphing into eerie shapes that resembled distorted figures. Unease settled over the group, but a collective determination to unveil the truth spurred them on. As they pressed forward, the road began to elongate, the van's speed never changing. Panic gnawed at their minds as they realized escape was impossible. The road became a labyrinth, and their sense of direction blurred. Tensions escalated, leading to heated arguments and fraying nerves. Hours turned into an eternity, and the van's occupants noticed that the moon hung stationary in the sky, casting an unnatural, blood-red glow. Their fear deepened as they realized time had lost its meaning on this accursed road. The van's interior grew suffocating, the air thick with dread. Sarah noticed strange markings etched onto the windows, symbols she couldn't comprehend. A spine-chilling whisper emerged from the radio, speaking in an otherworldly language. Reality itself seemed to warp and tremble. Emma's fingers trembled as she clutched the steering wheel. Shadows outside the windows began to take on distinct forms, each a silent, faceless observer. She could feel their gaze piercing through her, and her sanity started to unravel. Mark's eyes fixated on the rearview mirror, revealing distorted reflections of his friends. Their faces seemed twisted and contorted, mirroring the creeping dread within him. Alex stared ahead, his breathing shallow and rapid, convinced he could see figures emerging from the fog. Sarah's voice quivered as she read aloud from a crumpled map, her words disjointed and barely coherent. The symbols on the windows pulsed with an eerie light, seemingly responding to her incantations. Unintelligible whispers filled the air, growing louder and more maddening. Finally, the van came to a sudden halt, the engine sputtering into silence. The surroundings fell eerily quiet, the fog dissipating to reveal a ghastly landscape. The road vanished, leaving the van suspended in an abyss, surrounded by nightmarish forms that defied description. As terror gripped their hearts, the friends realized that they had crossed into a realm between dimensions, a place where the fabric of reality had frayed. Their feeble attempts to escape proved futile, and they were left to the mercy of the grotesque entities that roamed this void. Their screams echoed into the abyss, forever lost in the chasm between worlds. And so, their story joined the countless whispers of those who had vanished down the Veilway, a road that led not to destinations, but to the darkest corners of the unknown. In the heart of a mist-shrouded forest, a lone road snaked its way through the darkness. Few dared to travel it at night, for rumors spoke of the road's eerie reputation. It was said that those who drove it after sunset encountered strange phenomena, a curse that held them captive within its winding lanes. One chilling autumn evening, Sarah, a curious young woman, set out on the ill-fated journey. Armed with a map and her unwavering determination, she ventured onto the desolate road, her headlights piercing through the mist. An unsettling feeling gripped her as the trees seemed to lean in closer, their twisted branches creating grotesque shapes that danced in the shadows. Mile after mile, the road seemed to stretch on endlessly, the mist thickening around her. Unease crept over Sarah, and the map's markings became indecipherable. Panic welled up within her, but she pushed forward, determined to conquer her fear. Suddenly, a faint light flickered in the distance. A gas station appeared, its eerie glow a beacon of hope. Sarah pulled in, her heart pounding as she parked beside a single pump. The station appeared abandoned, its windows covered in grime, but the light beckoned her closer. As she stepped out of her car, a chilling wind whispered through the trees, carrying with it faint whispers that echoed in the darkness. She hesitated but proceeded to the gas pump. As she pressed the nozzle, a voice crackled over the ancient intercom, startling her. "Do you need assistance, traveler?" the voice inquired, sending shivers down her spine. Sarah's voice trembled as she replied, I'm lost. Can you help me find my way?" The intercom fell silent for a moment before responding, "I can help you, but there's a price to pay. Tell me your greatest fear, and I shall guide you out of this maze." Her mind raced as memories of her deepest fears flooded her thoughts. The fear of being alone, of losing loved ones, of never finding her purpose. With a deep breath, she shared her fears with the unseen presence. The intercom crackled again, "Very well, dear traveler. Follow the path illuminated by the pump's light. But beware, for your fears shall manifest along the way." The gas station's eerie glow seemed to intensify as Sarah hesitantly walked along the path indicated. The mist thickened around her, creating ghostly apparitions that whispered her name. Shadows danced at the corners of her vision, and the forest seemed to come alive with haunting whispers. As she walked, her fears materialized before her eyes. She saw herself standing alone, her loved ones fading into oblivion. The path ahead twisted and turned, mirroring the uncertainties of her life. But she pressed on, her determination bolstered by the need to escape this nightmarish realm. Hours passed, or perhaps it was only minutes. Time itself seemed to warp in this twisted place. Finally, the mist began to thin, and a familiar landscape emerged. Sarah found herself back on the main road, her car parked beside her, the gas station a distant memory. With a mixture of relief and exhaustion, Sarah drove away from the cursed road, her heart still racing from the terrors she had faced. As dawn broke, the forest's darkness retreated, leaving only a memory of the haunting ordeal she had endured. From that day on, Sarah never spoke of her journey on the cursed road. The memories of her fears brought to life haunted her dreams, a constant reminder of the price she had paid to escape its grasp. And the mist-shrouded forest road remained, waiting for its next unsuspecting victim to venture into its depths, a living nightmare for those who dared to drive its haunted path.